So, what do the Redfin and Zillow reports say about the market, and how have they changed since the beginning of the year? And what is the Cromford Market Index saying about the local Phoenix and Scottsdale market? Well, in February, a Redfin analyst said that the home price growth was actually going to slow to about 7% by the end of 2022, while Zillow said it was going to end up at 17.3% by January of 2023. So what are they saying now? This article from Redfin on March 17th says, pending home sales continued to outpace 2021, even as the listing shortage dragged on and mortgage rates shot up to above 4% for the first time since May of 2019. The U.S. median home sale price surged 7% during the 4-week period ending March 13th, the largest month-over-month increase on record in Redfin's data. Nearly 6,000 U.S. homes have sold for $100,000 plus above asking price this year. At the same time last year, there were only 2,400 homes that sold over $100,000 above their asking price. So I can tell you that every home that I have listed so far this year has sold over the list price, anywhere from $65,000 to $250,000 over the list price. And every one of them has gotten multiple offers. I've had anywhere from 3 offers on a home to over 17 offers on a home. Redfin's chief economist, Daryl Fairweather, also said this: there are plenty of reasons to be worried about the economy, but demand for housing has so far remained strong. Consumers continue to spend on housing, even though gas prices are on the rise and supply chain interruptions may lead to even more inflation. Home buyers are betting that even as the economy twists and turns, owning a home will be a worthwhile investment. The mortgage rates continue to shoot up from historic lows at an unprecedented pace. They could prove to be the one force that could slow home buying demand in the spring. I am not sure that we will actually see any slowing in our spring market here in the Phoenix Scottsdale market, even though we are seeing the Fed beginning to raise their rates. This was reported by multiple different news outlets. The Federal Reserve said on Wednesday that it would raise interest rates for the first time in 3 years as policymakers look to cool red-hot inflation, a move that comes at a precarious time for the U.S. economy as it confronts the war in Ukraine. Now, the Federal Reserve did warn us all last year about these rate hikes that were going to come. And I believe that that is one of the things that really fueled the fire in January in an already really crazy market. It was like pouring gasoline on a fire. Many buyers knew, and those that decided to sit on the sidelines just for a little bit because they were really tired of getting beat up and beat out on all of these houses, really flooded back into the market in January, wanting to be there before any of these interest rate hikes came. And with already low supply, this is when things just got really crazy. We began to see really frenzied behavior like we saw back in 2020, like lines outside of homes to get into them. We are starting to see people waiving appraisals, waiving inspection periods, waiving just about anything and everything in the contract to make their offer more attractive. I can tell you in January with the listings that I had, my sellers were blown away by some of the things that these buyers were offering them. People have put in gift cards into their contracts. People have put in the buyer paying the seller closing costs. I mean, it's big just to win in a bidding war. Chief financial analyst at bankrate.com, Greg McBride, said, the war in Eastern Europe gives the Fed reason to act more cautiously, but they will still be working to corral what is already the highest inflation in 40 years. Now, I do think that they're going to continue raising the rate, but I do think they're going to work at a cautious pace. Because the last time that they tried to do this, it kind of stalled our market out, but we also didn't have the type of inflation that we're seeing right now. So it's one of the things that they really can do to help against inflation, which is the other reason why there's so many people wanting to get into the market, because owning a home, a fixed asset, is one of the best places to put your money during times of severe inflation. So this is where we get into our real supply and demand problem. Because interest rates were so low, what people did a lot last year was they refinanced their house to get into a lower interest rate and a lower payment. So now as interest rates start to rise, any sellers that were thinking about selling are really kind of weighing their options. Is it a good time? Is it not a good time? When I talk to my sellers, I usually look at it and say, are you looking to buy another house? Have you planned? Do you know your payment is going to go up? If you've done all those things and you know you're going to stay in your house 5, 7, 10 years, then I would say go for it. If you're looking to downsize and you're basically trading like for like and your payment's not going to change, it's maybe even going to go up, that's when we really have to sit back and look, is it the right decision? Because it's a good decision for some, but it's not a good decision for everyone. Everyone's situation is completely different and really needs to be analyzed. And so for those that decide to stay in their house because maybe it just doesn't make sense, this again is where our supply problem comes, because those people would have put their home on the market and added to our supply. Now they've decided not to because they just don't see it as a benefit. The other thing that sellers are having a hard time with is, I want to sell my house and take advantage of all of the equity that I've built up in my house, but I don't know where I'm going to go. And so this is what we're seeing in a lot of contracts now too, is we're seeing sellers that are willing to sell, but they need post-possession. They need to be able to stay in their home because they need the cash out of their house to make the next move, but they need to sell because they know they cannot write a contract on their future home with a contingent offer with their home selling. It just isn't going to fly. We are really stuck in this kind of crazy cycle right now where sellers can really ask for everything. Buyers have to agree to just about everything the seller wants. And I've seen it on both sides. The seller is very excited that they're able to get all of these things. Then they go out to buy it and they think, oh my gosh, this is crazy. And I say, I know. Remember when you were selling your house? This is everything that the buyers were going through when they were buying their house. They're very empathetic to all of this, but it's just this crazy cycle that we're in right now. Oh yeah, and speaking about post-possession, one of the things that people are adding into their contracts is seller needs to stay in the house for a month, maybe 2 months. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I am the buyer. I will let you stay for free. Please, please, please pick me. It is one of the great ways to sweeten the pot, and it's working. As we start talking about interest rates and how low they were and where they're going, I always have to remind myself, I think back to when my husband and I bought our first house, and our interest rate was 7%. And I remember everybody telling us at the time, oh my gosh, this is a great rate. So just keep it all into perspective. Do I hope that the interest rates go up that high? I really hope that they don't. I don't know that they will. And like I said, I really hope that they don't. Now, it's not just interest rates that are rising. It's really everything. Everything is rising. Gas prices, food, clothing, everything is getting more expensive. And this too is just another reason why some homeowners are deciding to stay in their house. They already know what their payment is. They're comfortable. They've decided, I'm not going to rock the boat, so I'm just going to stay, which just further exacerbates our supply issue. Okay, now I talk about the Cromford Market Index a lot here. So I wanted to bring that up because I know looking at the national is great, but we really need to drill down. So let's see what the Cromford Market Index said just the other day on March 12th. Despite so many observers claiming that the housing market is heading for imminent trouble, the rate at which prices are still rising is astonishing, even to seasoned old analysts like us. The average price per square foot for listings under contract just exceeded $300 for the first time. It was just half that 5 years ago. It has risen $40 in the last 6 months, a 15% increase. The average price per square foot for listings under contract is a leading indicator. For sales prices to stabilize, the prices for listings under contracts have to stabilize first. There is a 1 to 2 month delay between the two measures. There is currently no sign of price rises halting, never mind reversing. So even with our interest rates rising and our supply staying low, our prices are continuing to rise. So I wanted to bring up one other thing. Our conforming loan limits were just raised a few months ago, and the new conforming loan limit is $647,200. This is great so that you can get a loan up to that amount before you have to jump into the jumbo world. Because when you jump into the jumbo world, normally, or within the last few years, your interest rate was higher. Well, I was just talking to one of my preferred lenders the other day, and he's already starting to see a flip-flop because of the interest rates rising on conforming loans. So for anybody out there in that jumbo world, it might be something that you want to look at, maybe going into the jumbo market. Although your loan amount is going to be bigger, your interest rate might be a little bit lower. Again, just having to weigh all of the options, take in all of that information and data, and then make the best decision for you. I do still agree that one of the only things that seems could slow our market down are rising interest rates. However, I do think that the rising interest rates would have to raise quite a bit before we saw any slowing. So if you are a buyer in this market, just be prepared. Have all your documentation ready to go so that when you find that house, you are ready to make an offer and make an offer quickly. Make sure that you've talked with your agent about all of the different options that you have, and make sure that you're presenting a very strong, compelling offer. Whatever agent you're using, they need to know what other buyers out there are using in their contracts so that you can make sure that your offer is competing with those other offers in the same way. And maybe a few other ways. I don't see our Phoenix Scottsdale market changing anytime soon. And we are right now in March in the heat of our normal seasonal trends of our market being really, really hot. Although we still are unsure if we're seeing some of our normal seasonal trends. We still haven't seen our normal seasonal trends since about 2020. So we could be sliding back into those normal seasonal trends. We're just still unsure. The big thing is, overall, our market is not losing any steam over higher interest rates and lower inventory. It just keeps moving along and moving fast. I hope this video was helpful for you. If you know anybody that you think that this would be helpful for, please make sure to pass it along. If you've got any questions for me, please feel free, email, call me, text me. I would love to know your thoughts, so please post a comment down below. If you found any value in it, make sure you hit that like button. And as always, I thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.